So this is how to code with Claude and Xcode. The first thing you got to do when you install Xcode, go to Settings and Intelligence, and then whichever agent you want, whether it's Claude or Codex or Gemini, just basically connect them, just log into them. And then you do New Project. You don't have to give it a name yet. You just choose Normal App. And you have a starting thing here, which is looking very techy and, for me anyway, confusing. So just click on this little icon up here that's a plus in a speech bubble and say what you want. So I'm going to say, I need an app for macOS which shows the current time in, let's say, California. It should look a German railway clock. Ask me any questions, which it normally does anyway. Hit enter or click on the little red, the little arrow here. Right. How should it be? Regular window. I have these options already. I'll just do that. That's fine. Authentic motion, smooth, continuous, or simple. Yeah, I'll do authentic. Anything else? No, just the clock face, nothing else. Click send and wait a bit. So now it's done. And I'm going to make this chat window a bit larger. We don't need to read the code. I click this play button and it builds and shows the app. Here it is. Very cool. Can I resize? Yeah, I can. So that's really nice. But now I'm going to change it. So I'll say, I changed my mind. Add Kali as text. Let's see what it does. Will it do it automatically in the style of the German railway clock in the red at the bottom? Let's see. So now it's done. I press play again. And there's Kali on top. I want it to be below. So I will just change that. Below the center, please. And so I wrote below the center, please, in German railway style, red with frame. So the thing about coding here, and of course in the earlier thinking it was doing, I have fast forwarded for you. I'll tell you the full time of what it took. I'll write that below. Working like this is not a one-shot AI thing at all. It's much more like you're sitting next to a coder who has written tons of code, read all the manuals, lots of experience, also doesn't mind the boring work, doesn't mind refactoring, but also has the ability to reach out and do research outside of this. For instance, here, the design of the clock face, it found it online. It is quite correct. So it's just a completely different way of looking at coding. There will still need to be designed from the human, unless you're willing to just accept whatever first thing it does. And you can see here its own preview. It's done the text correct, so I'm going to wait now to build it. So I click the triangle again, and boom, there it is. It's done what I asked. There's a few things worth knowing. For instance, if I save this, I'll call it Kali Clock. I just save it in Documents. Boom, there it is, opened again. Here you can have different schemes, which means different platforms, and you can choose where it should run. It can build for an iPhone or the Apple Vision Pro. These are things you get used to over time. They're not really complicated. But what I will do is close this and show you two other things that have been built. The first one is Interatlas, which is a 3D world globe. It works on iPhone, iPad, Mac, and the headset Vision Pro. The basic idea is a 3D globe that spins. Now, this has been built also entirely inside Xcode with Claude. I had some data from before that I was able to import. The idea is to help people learn geography. So you click on something and you see where it is. The idea is you click on something, you can see where it is. So this is, oh yeah, that's Italy. You see also the capital city. But because this is done with Claude, I've added 3 buttons. So bottom left button, if I do GDP, it'll show me all the countries where it has GDP data, and it's from the World Bank, as 3D extrusions. This was also done, I have to emphasize, as dialogue with Claude. And because it was hard to see with only extrusions, I said I needed a gradation from blue to green to yellow and orange, where orange is only the highest number, so you can really see what the biggest results are. Took a bit of tweaking back and forth, but that's the whole point of this. Bottom right is for cities, and the middle one is for commands or to do searches. So it found London up there. There are many things that can be done like this. It really is important to emphasize it's not a one-shot, AI do this and there it is and it's done. There are many iterations depending on what you're doing. And it's also important to note that architecture still has to be done. So now the last thing to show you is digital letters. So this looks a lot less fancy, and you'll notice the tiny little dialogue with a plus is there. I can open it anytime. It's not huge. This is presented as though you are a regular programmer. But somebody like me who's not a programmer, I come from the art side, it's very useful. I'm going to hide the background. So this is a digital letters thing where people send each other letters rather than emails. It's not social media. And it looks quite normal, quite plain. You can make a new letter, you can send it. Here, I'm just testing it. But you see it has real components, columns, commands on the right, filing. So I needed to define the document format, which is JSON, the relationships, all of that good stuff. And then I can start building views. There are experiments around what Ted Nelson has done. Not saying any of this is correct yet, but we are inspired by him very, very much. And then there's things like this, the weave. And this comes from me just saying to Claude, make something visual impressive. It doesn't have to be useful. It's just to see what could happen. And it did this. It's functional. I can click on someone's name and it shows their message. There's also this that I asked it to go online, research Dave Millard. It found his last blog post, and then it built this based on it. Dave saw it and said, yeah, that looks completely correct. These are not still and static. These are actual pieces of knowledge in here that's plotted in different ways. Was this correct the first time? I don't know. This was just a fun thing that I did when I was having lunch with Dave Millard, but it can be changed. All of these things can be changed. I'm going to do a change now, actually, to show you as a closing thing. So I say in the toolbar, no, I'll say column. In the column on the left, make the icons black. Let me just check. Are they? Yeah, they are blue. Not blue. Boom. So these columns, this column here with these icons, what we're talking about. So I'm just going to close it. Go back here, see what it does. So it's saying a little bit. It's about 200 lines of code to figure this out. It's looking at the sidebar view, working on it now. And you can see changes it's made. Let's make this window a lot bigger. It's still working. Sometimes you'll get a pop-up message down here where you have to prove that it does a terminal command, but for something like this, we don't need that. But that's the only kind of help that you have to give it. Sometimes it'll ask for a specific measurement if you want to put it in. So you can use just language or say a bit smaller, or you can say 200 pixels larger, or whatever it might be. just as you would to a human programmer. It's just so empowering, it's crazy. So let's run this. So it's building it, you can see here. I couldn't actually see it. And where is it? Here it is. And there they are now, black. I can also tell it I want this column bigger or smaller. All of those things can be done through communicating by chatting with this. As I've said many times to my friends, the only thing that is hard with coding with Claude inside Xcode is to stop talking about it. This is absolutely revolutionary. Coding outside Xcode is one thing, but here, as you can see, it has to use the components. It has to do what a human would do inside. It can't just write code. It has to do the right structure, use the right libraries, the right APIs. So in my mind, it becomes much more robust. I'm actually going to ask it about this. How many... So I'm writing, how many times have you refactored this project, do you think? So just asking it about its own work. Now I just opened this when you saw it, and now it's asking for this command thing. This is not part of a long work session, so it has to look at its own history. So I can't count precisely what it said. Only 2 commits, forked from another project, big changes. So it can look at what it's done properly, and it can act on this. So thank you very much. I think this is a revolution. It allows basically anybody with a curiosity and insight to make their own software using AI. And really remember, like here, the software itself, when it's done, is not AI. AI helped make it. Now it's a normal, fully functional piece of software. So thank you again for listening and watching.